Two authors coming together to make marketing our books fun enough that we actually do it. Join us on Twitch or YouTube 3 times a week to see how it's done, and please do join our community to get your own bingo cards and many other perks. Let's get started. You didn't hear the sound, but you can hear my sound now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gonna have to do some troubleshooting on that.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I've always heard it all the other time, and I like it. You did a good job on that intro.
Thank you. I am very fond of it too.
Sprightly music.
But yeah, so we were talking earlier, and we thought this would be a good topic for other authors and a good subject for us to talk about with kind of getting discouraged. Because I've been doing this regular marketing with the gamification really, really well, and yet I don't feel like it's showing up in my book sales.
I mean, sometimes it seems like it is, but what you want is like that steady, or you want the hockey stick if you're feeling really, it's like, and you've done a lot of really interesting different things. So you've been much better at this than I have.
I guess, but then like I went and looked at my royalties for the last year, looked by month, and like it's trending downwards, and I'm so frustrated by that.
So I'm going to just challenge you on that, because it was high when you did like for a year, like from June, right? And it was high, and then it went down, and then it went high again, and then it started to go down again. So it did not trend down for the year. It had some peaks. So the thing is, what does that mean, right? I mean, obviously you're doing things right, because you got it back up to match that high number in June you were looking at.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when there is a bump up, it is a new book, which I think we all know the more books you can publish, like that's the best marketing, is your backlist, more places you can be discovered, readers who read more than one of your books because they like them. So I don't know if it's so hard to actually track what's working and what's not when it comes to like posting about it and social media, because it's like not an exact I post then I make sales. It's so nebulous and takes time and different people seeing different things. But I'm wondering if it's more worthwhile to put the time and energy into just publishing more books.
So that doesn't work either.
No.
I mean, because you're talking about, publishing every 6 weeks. I mean, I know people
I don't know that I'm capable of that. Some people are.
I know people who have that ability, but one of the ways they do it is, and I don't know anybody who, the longest I've seen someone do that personally that I know was about 5 years. And then they were like, okay, I need to take a break from this because it's driving me insane, right? Coming up with new ideas. I mean, you just know if you're doing things that fast, you're gonna. But a lot of the technique for that is that you bank 3 books so that you're ahead.
Yeah.
But then that's still, that's, 6 times 3 is 18. So that's 18 weeks ahead. That doesn't allow you a lot of time for things going wrong, for being like, I hate this story, I don't want to write it. But I mean, I think it's really interesting, because I think you can get really caught up in the marketing and not do the writing. I think that they work, like on the reader side, they work together. On the author side, it's like they fight you. If you spend too much time, this actually really happened to me, where I was doing the marketing and I wasn't seeing, and I wanted really good results, and I wasn't seeing it, and it was exhausting me. And I was like, well, when I get to here, then I can write the book. And I can market while other stuff is going on. I cannot write the book if I'm constantly being interrupted, or if, stuff that's affecting me deeply is going on. And so I can pretend that I'm moving forward. I think you hit something. It's like we need a balance, right?
And
But
it's that, what do they call that? Productive crafting, where you're procrastinating, but you're procrastinating by doing stuff that's good to get done.
yeah, but when you come down to your basic question of, is it better just to write the book? I'm going to say no. I mean, my experience watching other authors, I'm going to say no, because it does work for a little while. But if it's the only lever you're pushing, if you write a book nobody wants, it feels horrible. It just feels just as horrible, right?
Yeah,
Like, and it's not only that, but
it's
it's
not
people who have
sustainable.
been, yeah. And the other thing is, like, if you're writing a series that readers like, you need to be getting new readers in, because readers renew, right? It's not like you're exhausting a pool, but how you, and so this is the whole point of book marketing marathon, right? Is you do it for 2 hours, you get that done, and then you go off. And yet you, like me, have got to beat yourself up. But I'm not a New York Times bestseller yet, and I've been doing it for 3 months. And it's like, why do we do that to ourselves?
I have very high expectations for what I should be able to accomplish.
I know. And it's like, you know what? If you had become a New York, or when you become a New York Times bestselling author, you're going to be like, when is the Pulitzer coming?
Right.
Why are you
Yeah.
slacking?
And I haven't watched it yet, but I saved a video from an author who the title of her video was something like that. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. How come I still don't feel like a success?
And
Like, there's more to
that's
it.
the thing,
Yeah.
is like, we need, as authors, we need constant reminders. The writing's important, the marketing's important, we're important, right?
Oh, we need so much validation. And this is another thing that I've been really struggling with recently. And I've been sharing this with friends. It feels so dumb, but I get so much envy around the accomplishments of other authors, and I have struggled with that my whole life. There was a guy, if anybody's heard of the Aragon series, which is
Christopher Paolini, yeah.
that's the one. It's not Aragon like Lord of the Rings, so I always get confused with that. But I'm the same age as him, and his books came out in bookstores while I was also writing. And so I would walk into a Barnes and Noble at 17 years old and just feel furious that
Well,
he
did
had
you know
this
the whole
thing.
story back then of how
Probably
he got
not.
published? I mean, you
No.
know the story now, right? Oh,
No,
you
I
don't?
just know that I look at his name and go, how dare you? Yeah, no, I
Did
don't.
you ever see an article about him? Oh,
Tell me what he did.
okay. His parents started a publisher and published him and did the marketing.
Okay, so he had some expert help, I see.
He did. And I don't remember what his parents' background was, but clearly
They
they
knew something
understood.
about marketing because
They understood how to sell him. And and they did really, and I know exactly what got to you. They did that whole young genius kind of creative thing. And you are thinking, but I am too. Why does no one see me? Now, okay, let's get real.
and there's so many teen authors now that are like
Where did
trying
you
to do
send your
that.
book back then when you were 17?
I did submit it because that was before Kindle.
Oh my
That was
God, that's so brave. Did you ever? I am not kidding. Did you ever give yourself credit for that? How did you even figure out how to do it?
oh, I was so determined. I decided when I was 12 that that was going to be my career, that I was going to write books, and I went to the card catalog at the library and I found the section with the Writer's Digest. I think it's the right. Oh, God, it's been so long, but those the reference books that would have all the publisher information in them. And we don't have that anymore, I don't think, but you would just pour through these books and write down the addresses and send your query in your self-addressed stamped envelope to the ones that sounded like they were looking for the type of thing that you had. So yeah, I did a ton of that. Um, and then I went to school and I got a bachelor's and a master's in creative writing. And I'm still pissed that a degree in professional creative writing did not involve anything about business or promotion or marketing. It's only like improving the craft.
Okay, let me just reassure you that those courses, if they had existed, would have sucked because none of the professors knew anything about that, which was why they were professors. I love my writing professors all through the years. They were great for craft sometimes, most of the time. I would never have asked them anything about actually making money from my writing. No, they don't know anything about that.
But
And
that's
I
why, like,
almost feel
there's
like
such
it
a
should be
gap.
separate.
Yeah, well, I wish they had programs that had like we will bring in the business and marketing side of it with
But
experts.
remember way back in those dark ages days, what they would do, and I don't know if they did this for you. Some of my writing classes did this at my universities. They would bring in an agent or an editor to talk to you about some of the process. But it was all about getting that all important agent who was going to do all that nasty, dirty marketing work for you,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, some publishers accepted unsolicited manuscripts, not many. You needed the agent to get it to the publishers, to get it to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And I got a lot of rejections because I was not writing something that was marketable. And Christopher, what's his name, sure was. He was writing about dragons and fantasy, and I was not. So that's understandable, but I'm still mad for the
Okay, so
failure.
you just need to tell your parents that you now know that it was their failure that made you not
Yeah,
be
my
a
parents would
young,
not be able to do
successful
any of
author.
that. I mean, my parents are not marketers, not entrepreneurs. My dad had a 50-year career at 2 companies.
Yep. So it's their fault. It's not your fault because that's how he got successful. I mean, he did what you did. He wrote his book. I don't.
Okay, what about
I'm
S.E. Hinton?
making fun, but I mean,
Tell
I
me,
don't
tell
know
me
how
the backstory of
he.
S.E. Hinton, because she also was a successful author at 17.
You know what? Nobody's ever seen S.E. Hinton.
I know
So
she only had one book, and then
So my husband doesn't realize I'm talking, so of course he has to call me because he can't just walk in and see what I'm doing. Um, so I don't believe her. I mean, I just don't believe her. I'm gonna have to turn my ringer off, I guess.
and I do have to also. There's always caveats and always things to remember that like she had one successful book, and it may have ruined her life because what do you do after that? You chase and chase and chase. You try to capture that success
But
again.
if you think about it, I mean, that book was very raw, right? And maybe that was all that book that, sometimes when you write something that raw, that's all you needed to write, right? You don't
Yeah,
want to be a writer for life. You just happen to have one
had to
really
get
great
that
book
out.
in you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I can't imagine that, but I know there are people like that. And that's okay. I just read, I can't remember whether it's Atlantic or one of those magazines, and they're talking about how writers aren't as rich as you think. And it's
Yeah.
some author, it's a traditional author, talking about her first book deal made $10,000 advance, and um, and then her next one, or that book did well. So and I don't remember who it was. And the next, that book did well. So her next thing was for 3 books at like, a little more. I don't remember. Nothing earth shattering or anything. But she's like, I can't even remember. But her point was, that was for 3 books she hadn't written yet. So
Like
she's
ten
laying out the
thousand
time. She's
dollars
like, so I'm going to make
It's
that.
not even a year's
Yeah, it
salary.
was like $90,000 for 3 books, I think. So, and she's like, so, it's going to be 6 years. That's not that great a
That's
pay
not a
rate.
great income over, yeah. And then your agent needs their cut. And there's an agent on, I think, YouTube who will like break down the math and show how the money disappears. And people also don't tend to realize that an advance is an advance against royalties, that you have to pay that back with the book sales before you start making a profit on it.
Before you start actually getting paid royalties in it, in addition to the,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
if anything happens now, they have clauses where you actually have to pay it back, and it's like,
Yeah, they've always
I
had that, but they never enforced it before.
no, a lot of
No, they
contracts, I
didn't.
mean, a good agent would take that out.
Mm.
Now good agents have trouble getting that out of the contract.
And
I
certainly
think it
never
only
publish
kicks
another
in for
book.
the big, I'm like a $10,000 book, they're not going to do
They
that
don't
for.
care. That's not much to a
I mean,
publisher.
they're going to make, see, that's the thing. Profitability is built in to their calculations. So they don't need you to, for the book to, the way that they do it is they're going to make their money back before you make your money back.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I remember learning about it and thinking, oh, like you were saying, there should be at least one class on how to understand that when you're doing an MFA or a creative writing degree, because that is actually important. You
It is a
need to
lot of
understand
offers.
you are the one who gets paid last and least.
Yeah.
I
You're
mean,
the
that's just the way it
artist.
is.
You're
Your
the one who
cover
doesn't
artist is going to get
want
paid more.
to you don't want to sully yourself with this business side of it, but those business people, they are gonna get their money.
I mean, because you've got to take your taxes out of it. And, for a traditional authors, we're lucky as indie authors. We can take our marketing costs, our websites, our other stuff, we can write that all off. Whereas for traditional authors, um, you know, they're not doing the marketing part. They may not even have their own website, they may have it through their publisher. So when they get that big lump, or 2 or 3 big lumps, depending on how the publisher pays them, they got to pay the taxes on that right away. They don't always know that. I can't tell you how many writers I've known through the years who are like, yeah, that was a surprise to me. I'd already spent it by the time
Yeah,
tax
exactly.
time rolled around.
And yet people who are not in this world at all will look at J.K. Rowling and be like, "Oh yeah, authors make billions." Like that is so rare. To be able to even make a full-time income at writing is so rare.
I mean, even Stephen King, with all of his longevity, I don't think has made as much money as J.K. Rowling. She just had a really good agent, and she was,
Really good
like
concept.
determined to have a lot of control over her own IP, which
And a lot
most
of
authors
that
I
extra
know
stuff.
are like, I just want to be published. I just want to have my book out there, which is,
I mean, she does
I understand it.
merchandising. I don't think Stephen King does merchandising. He's not making a theme park related to it. So
No, but he
he
does
has that
have
business
IP.
sense.
If somebody wanted to do that, he could make good money on it just licensing his IP. Um, so that, he's still got a lot of potential, but he doesn't have to, he
The
doesn't sit and think
potential.
about it.
But
Like
yeah,
you and
she
I
is
sit and
like,
think
she's a
about it. That's
savvy
what book
businessman.
marketing game is. We think about how do we, put our book out there in a new, different way. And, we might even think, is there some, tie-in potential, right? So, I mean, you just really never know.
So I'll tell you what is filling me with envy right now. And I think I mentioned this to you before, but maybe our listeners might have insight that can help too. I write disability romances. I have exclusively always written books with disabled characters for the 16 years that I have been self publishing. And July is Disability Pride Month. So all over my social media, I am seeing these roundups of books with disability representation and celebrations of books and fiction and romances with disability representation, which is awesome. Great to see. I am never in them, and it is making me so upset.
So, who are putting these together? Let's look at it and see. Like, are these coming out of libraries? Are these coming out of author groups? Who is putting
Like,
this together?
mostly individuals with disabilities, and this is, something they want to see more of in literature. Um,
Are you taking the opportunity to contact them and say, I love that you're doing this? If you obviously, do something to help, you know,
yeah,
spread
sharing
their
and
word,
promoting what
but
they
then
are.
talk to them. And
Yeah,
it's like, I don't, I want you to know this book is also available. Next time you do it, if you love this book, do it. And I would say it's might even be worth it to say, I'm happy to give you a complimentary reviewer copy if you're interested in
yeah,
the type of romance I write. Just do it from that place of we connect here, right? So not the arrogant, why did you forget me? Which I know you would never do.
yeah. That's
Um,
that's the part that I don't want to show to the world, that I don't want to show to them. But it's the part that my sad little inner child is feeling, that, like,
okay, so
why am
one,
I so invisible? Why does nobody know that I exist?
they didn't
It's been
do
so
every
long,
disability book out there. I bet you can say
for
you can
sure.
probably pick 10 that are really good that they didn't put forward, and that's okay because everybody has their own list. But you can let them know about your book. Also, what's the other thing you can do because you are an awesome indie author?
Make my own roundups. I don't know if that's where you're going with this, but
Yeah, you can control the message completely. I mean, putting in the book. I mean, you could even diss Judge Moynes if you wanted to.
I would never. No, that's not true. I already have many
No, a
times.
lot of people have. A lot of people did. I mean, you just
And
need to have it on
that
the bandwagon.
book was on some of these roundups.
Yes,
And I
yes.
was glad to see, like, people in the comments being like, excuse me, that book is horrible disability representation. And the person that I saw that was like, oh, I haven't read it yet, it's been on my TBR because it is disability representation and people talk about it and had a movie made, blah blah blah.
So the other thing that would be interesting. Um, these are the kinds of ideas I have that I then don't have the whatever it takes to implement. But I don't have anything as clear as you do. But what about having just a pop-up book group for this, where you're like, let's get together and discuss some of these books,
Mm,
and you throw yours in there, but it's like you pick three or four and you kind of talk about them in a comparison way. I mean, you run something like that, or partner with some people to run a discussion group like that, because there's bigger, I mean, the disability awareness is so much bigger. There's so many things that people don't know about people with disabilities. No book covers it all. I mean, like,
true.
I know, I mean, I worked at a university center that dealt with people with disabilities and tried to give them dignity and listen to them. The advisor group of people with disabilities was listened to. And the thing is, some people do not mind being asked if you want help, right? And other people are offended by it. And
Yeah.
that makes it very hard to know what to do.
Yeah, it's,
And
as they say,
so,
it's not a monolith. It's not a one, like, answer for everybody. Obviously, everyone has a different experience. Disability experience itself is extremely varied,
Well, it's just like, I mean, you have a personality. Disability is not a personality, right? So the person with the disability, it has a personality. They might be having a bad day or a great day. They might be like up to here, or they might be like feeling like I can solve any problem in the world. I mean, they're just people who also happen to have a disability that affects certain things. And that's what all these books can help people see and talk about, right? And I'm going to guess that every book about people with disability gets it wrong in some way. Like, I was just doing an Audible Plus. This is not about disabilities. Well, in some ways it is. An Audible Plus book that I recommended to my husband. And there's this little mystery series called Mistletoe Murders that we kind of like. And it's kind of dumb. And it's about a cop and somebody in witness protection. Well, they did a little offshoot for the cop's daughter when she goes to college. And this is like super light, but I'm like, I think my husband will enjoy it. I said, but some of the university stuff is going to get under your skin. So I'm going to say this, people do not know this. If you have ever had any reason to know this, it just makes you crazy. But there's the publish or perish thing in academia, right? Well, for scientists, if you publish a popular book, that doesn't count.
No, it's going to be
no, that is not at all useful. So this is what happened in this story: is that the professor got a Nobel Prize for publishing a popular science book. And I'm like, that has never happened in the history of the universe. And if it did, the Nobel Prize would no longer be taken seriously. But, who wrote this little short audiobook? Writers. And what do they know about writing books and publishing?
Only their own. Yeah, it's so true, because as writers, we are portraying these characters with so many different life experiences, jobs, and it's like, what jobs have I had? Not many. Being a writer, so like, I don't know fuck all about these things, and I'm just hoping to get it somewhat right. And some authors like will spend so much energy and effort on research, and like actually some mystery authors like reach out to real cops to get their feedback, and like, I'm not doing that. That sounds like hard to reach out to people. Are you kidding me? So,
you know what?
yeah.
There is actually, I'll just tell you in case you ever decide you want to change that. I don't remember what it's called, but there is a list of people with expertise that writers can get on to ask questions.
Yeah.
But there is, let me see if this is still going. I think it might have closed. Oh, they have online classes now. There is a Writers Police Academy training for writing, training for writers. They have live and in person at public safety training academies. I don't.
Okay, but like,
can't see.
So when I went to my therapy,
so like, if you've never shot a gun,
yeah, that's true. Like, you
get the experience, you get the feeling of what it's like. I'm not that I'm encouraging everybody to do this. If you're writing mysteries,
but that's only one example, and yet, the more books you write, the more different characters you have, with the more different careers that you've never experienced and you don't actually know about. So I'm always like,
I've experienced a lot of careers. Well, I've experienced a lot of jobs. I just met
somebody who's in professional, like, nonprofits and marketing for nonprofits, and I'm like, oh crap, I hope she never reads my book about the professional fundraiser, because I bet that I got all of it wrong. Because yeah, when you know too much about a field, you can't suspend your disbelief and read about somebody who's doing that job, because it's good enough for the lay person who's never experienced it. But if you have been there, you're just like, oh, none of this is right.
But the other thing is, sometimes, people have different experiences, so you're not going to ever be able to get it right? That's why when people talk about not writing generically, but writing specifically, adding in like a location and something. So that was one of the things that used to drive me crazy when I was a kid, growing up in South Carolina or Delaware with my New York City relatives. So people talk differently. They have different mannerisms. They have, in some ways, are right and wrong. And it was like, where am I? Which way is right now? And so it just became second nature to me to kind of check in with where I am. And sometimes people are trying to appeal to more. And so they take some of that specificity away. But like I said, as you know, someone with a disability could be bright and sunny or very dark and be like, just pretend I don't have a disability or you're going to offend me. It doesn't matter if I'm in a wheelchair. I want you to act like I'm not, right? And people, it's like, makes it harder to get to know people. And some people don't even try. And so the people who are writing these books are doing everybody a favor, because you can go read the book to figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah,
if
I do
you're if
think
you're
that it
interested.
will help alleviate a lot of the ableism that we have in society if more popular books like had disabled characters. And I feel that way about representation in a lot of things. Like, if there were more movies that had Asian main characters, then an occasional terrible stereotype is not going to be harmful because there's plenty of other examples and you get that wide variety. But when it's like tokens and you only see a minority every once in a while as a side character in this thing, it's like then those representations can be super harmful because that's the only example that you have. So the more we can have different and lots of representation of lots of different things, the more we can remember that people are all different and have their own biases that come through from their own growing up, their own experiences.
So what do you think about the idea of reaching out to some of these people you saw doing this in July and trying to, make something a little more Carolyn happy, friendly next year? What would you do if you could, if like you could snap your fingers and create a really great, uh, promotion thing, marketing thing, or just talking about thing for Disability Awareness Month? What would you do?
Mm. I would love to have a panel of disabled people discussing a variety of books with disabled characters.
Oh my God, it would be so funny. And you could
That
do
would
it all month and you could
be
have,
amazing.
okay, people with disabilities trash stereotypes in books that they still love or something like that.
That's a hook. Yes.
Because I mean,
And people who like different books, if I could have enough panelists where it's like one person just loves this book and the other person thinks it's terrible, and talking through that would be so interesting.
I think it would be interesting. And I don't think you would need to do it by yourself. I think you could definitely invite some other people who you already know enjoy talking about this to try and get it going.
That is a very good idea.
It's like you have a YouTube channel, right? So this stuff can live for a long time. I think you don't need to be jealous of Christopher Paolini anymore now that he had a lot of help from his parents. I mean, we kind of laugh at Bill Gates, being a self-starter, and Jeff Bezos. Now, I will say Jeff Bezos started Amazon with like $100,000 from his parents, which is a lot, or maybe it wasn't even that much. It
Yeah,
was
but not a
maybe
lot for what he
30,000.
did.
But for what he did, right? But it's nice because that amount of money indicates a certain amount of confidence that people have in you, um, and that's kind of cool. But not every set of parents can do that, and so recognizing Christopher Paolini just had like a little launch pad, but you can give yourself your launch pad anytime you want. You just need to have confidence. It's the confidence in ourselves that's really a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been writing all my life, and I'm like, well, people are going to think this sucks, right?
The imposter syndrome stuff comes up so much. And I think emotionally, as authors, we are on a roller coaster a lot of the time because, you'll write a line that is it hits so well, and you're just like, I am a genius. This is great. And then, like, an hour later, you're just like, everything I've ever written is shit and everybody hates it. And you just flip flop between these extremes, like, constantly.
Well, I mean, as human beings, we do that. I mean, when you're painting your living room, at first it seems like such a great idea. And then, when you first start, you're like, am I really going to like this color? Oh, I forgot how hard it is to tape everything off and blah. Do I really need to tape everything off? Yeah, I really need to tape everything off.
And then you
And
finish and
then,
you notice all the places where you messed it up. And same
and
thing
not
with
only that,
published
but if
books.
you're like you and me, I'm sure you do this just like I do. You point them out to people when they walk into the room and say it looks great. You're like, but you didn't see that. And they're like, no, I didn't have a microscope with me. A
Yeah, you're not allowed to
looking
think that
glass.
I did great if you don't know the full scope of everywhere that it's messed up.
And yeah, so I mean, sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot. That is just the way it goes. We should not do that. So anyway, yeah. So I think it's good for us to remember that. And I don't think it's terrible to look at somebody and say, I wish that that had happened to me or that that would happen to me. But I looked at your numbers and saw something different. Um, and my immediate question into your numbers was, oh, what was working really well? Because, you know, it was a nonfiction book launch, but I think you made a lot of your sales in your fiction because you put it back into KU.
That was definitely an unexpected side benefit of doing book marketing bingo, was catching when something wasn't functioning the way it was supposed to, and that certainly makes a big difference. Um, so yeah,
And
it's
I think getting those KU readers attention is just, I mean, I think you need to have a session with chat about, what are the
I've been
best.
very dismissive about KU because I look at the page reads used to pay a lot more, and now they pay so little. How is it still worth it? But when I examine that, a lot of authors are still finding that it is worth it. Um, and it has more sort of knock on benefits as well. Like, it's a way that people take a chance on new writers, even though it seems to me like, wow, is it really that hard to spend $5 on an ebook of a new writer? Like, but it is. It's a big ask.
It's a big risk. I mean, people would rather buy a lottery ticket than a book, even though the book is going to give you an experience. The lottery ticket is just going to be a piece of paper in your pocket most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's true, but I mean, the whole point of book marketing is to get your book in front of readers. However, you happen to be able to do it at that time. And, knowing now how talk to Robbie about the importance of reviews, when people are actually reading your book, they review it, right? So, or they might get on your list for your 2 free chapters.
Hmm.
And more readers is better than fewer readers. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it totally depends on where you are and what you're doing and how you
I
make
might
that
should go back
decision.
and look at what were the book marketing bingo tasks that I was doing in those months that looked really good, and do those again and stop always chasing the next thing and the new thing, and like actually reiterate on what was working, right?
Well, I would say you should definitely read your, like, I like your idea of like creating that, passive income funnel. And it's like, and looking at some of the things that proved themselves as working, is there a way you can do that instead of doing it in the marketing game? Is there a way you can make that, like a passive thing? Like, for example, I know that if I do an ad on one of the little, not a book bub, but one of the little ones that are more guaranteed, I'm going to, shift some copies. It's not going to be great numbers or anything, but that's like a guarantee. So would I do that sort of like, okay, I want to get my free book out there and then see how I can convert other people to do the other books? Well, I don't know that I would count, at a certain point. Now that I know that that works, I don't know that I would count that as a book marketing effort. I would want the 5 things that are going to support that for conversion, right? And what would those be? Like when you did your thing for me, you're like, you need to find what the younger marketplace is looking for. So I've been, kind of looking at that this week, trying to figure that out. And not asking ChatGPT enough. It's like I'm having that whole confidence of younger people won't like me, right? I'm too old fashioned or whatever dumb stuff I feel like telling myself.
Like you were saying, shoot yourself in the foot with the like making assumptions and then not trying. Like,
and the one thing about
nobody's going to be doing something before 4th of July. Like,
exactly. The one thing I learned about marketing from HubSpot is that testing and experimenting is going to tell you way more than trying to think through it and get the right answer. And the HubSpot people for years, maybe even decades, have been saying, look, we play a game with ourselves. We guess this is going to be the winning tagline or the winning headline or whatever they're putting out there. But we're testing, 10. And do you know how often our winning tagline is the winning tagline? Not that often. Often it's the one we don't think is that great, but it works. And you just never know until you test it. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is test stuff. So it's almost like if we find something that's reliable, like say a launch,
works every time. All I have to do is just that over.
No. We put that's our back pocket. It's like, okay, we're doing a launch. So what can we do to make sure we sell even more books when we're getting that attention, right? So it's not just focusing on the, writing more books and driving yourself crazy. I mean, the problem with creative people is we cannot exhaust ourselves. When we exhaust ourselves, our creativity suffers.
That is very true.
And I know so many exhausted writers, it makes me sad.
And one of my favorite authors who writes in my genre, who's a friend of mine and who I encouraged to start publishing, she was so prolific for so long and then she just completely crashed. And so there's no new books. There may never be new books again. I don't know. She has said she's done. I don't know if I believe that or not. And she has like mental health kind of cycles like I do with the like, my creative energy is all focused right now and then disappears. And I think for her, it's a much bigger chunk of time of on and then off. So when she's on, she writes 15 books, but she's been off for years now, and it's sad. I want more.
Well, I mean, to be fair, maybe she's done, and, maybe she'll come back in, a couple years. But part of that could be that she didn't get what she wanted to get from those 15 books. And so she's feeling like, can I dive back down in there and then come back up and not get what I want from?
Yeah, it does depend on what she wants. I don't know her as a person very much because she's very private. She did once tell me that she was making 6 figures from her books, mostly with Amazon ads. And she didn't fully trust it. She always had that feeling of like, well, I'm not going to quit my day job because who knows when this will just suddenly dry up. So I don't know how consistent that has been for her. But like once you can get those ads really humming.
Once you've got Amazon ads dialed in, they stay dialed in. fairly well. I
And
mean,
that's been an interesting
over
thing. So I did,
time.
that like those penny ads, and I made a
Oh yeah.
video for our channel about it. And when I talked to you about it last time, I was saying the purpose of them is to get more impressions rather than more sales. So because you're not paying for the impressions. So it's sort of like, oh, get your book in people's sort of subconscious. But I realized that actually one of the benefits could be to find the keywords that are working best for your book. So, yeah, I put in, 25 different keywords at 2 cents each, and like one of them is getting impressions, none of the others are. So I'm starting to
So
slowly
that can
bump
go
up
into
the
your,
bid on
yeah,
that
into
one.
your bank for, yeah, keywords that pay off.
So then I'm like,
I think
okay,
that's really
maybe I can
worthwhile.
keep on slowly bumping it up until I'm actually like getting that ROI on it. And like, this is a good way to figure out which keywords I should be using.
Yeah, no, it's funny. That's the thing is you always have to think about, but it is that thing. It's like, if you're unhappy about where you are, is there something small that you can do? Is there something that you should be doing kind of like in that passive income, bracket where, yeah, it just every month I do an ad on my free book, right? I mean, maybe that's what you should be doing, right? Because sometimes we get too caught up with, well, I didn't make enough money the day the ad ran. And it's like, but did you bump up um,
Yeah, it's like you
your
say, the marathon.
looks?
It's
Did
a
you
much
get a
bigger
bump of people on your, I
thing.
mean, what did happen, and how do you help around that? And so it's like,
Yeah,
I
the
pushed
income's
this
gonna go and
lever and I
show up
didn't get
right away,
food.
right? Yeah, and if you're increasing your mailing list, then those people might buy a book from you years down the line, months
And
down
we're
the
not really
line,
aware of that, even though, like, I'm only allowed to, on my library, I'm only allowed to take out 3 books and put 3 books on hold. So I have a whole lot of books I'm interested in that I put on my save list. But it's like a to be read pile, right?
Yeah.
I go through it and yeah, I want to read it, but it's not hold worthy, so to speak.
Or it's not what you're in the mood for right then, and yeah.
So I notice how my mind works, and it's very interesting. And I and we don't. It's like for us, we're like, we advertise it, and they didn't immediately buy it and read it. What's wrong with me or them?
When in
And it's
fact they
like,
have so many books they're trying to read,
but
and they
that's the
really
way
want
it
to, but they're not going to be
works.
there yet. And yep, that's how we all are.
I know. I mean, and it's like your book may not hit there. Yes, this is what I want for a couple months or a year. You can't control that. The only thing you can control is that they can see the book if it happens to hit them in the right way. I don't know. I mean, I think I finally fully internalized that. But I don't like it when my numbers go up and down. I want my numbers to go up, 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 even though that doesn't actually make any sense.
And it gets extra hard to see it waffling or even staying the same where it's at when like I need income. There's things that I want to do to help my family. I had a really big shock about an expense a couple weeks ago that I was like, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to be that much." And so then I'm thinking, "Okay, how can I be making more income so that I can be covering this bill?" And I can't just instantly make more income from my books, but that's what I want it to be. I want to be able to be like, "Okay, I need to make more from my books, so I do these things and then I have income to
So,
cover this bill."
because the thing with the books is it's most people can't. I mean, some people can. It depends what you sell and everything, but you can't just go, all right, I need another $1,000. I'm just going to go out and sell a whole bunch more books. Um, at a certain stage of author, you can actually do that, but you're trying to sell even more than that. So that question doesn't even actually make a lot of sense. But what I would say that we talked about here that seems like a clear indicator to me is you need to start talking to some of these people who are talking about disability books. And you need to be thinking about how you can, like offer some value to this whole community that you respect and love and want people talking about in a positive way. And I bet if you did that, it's going to pay off in ways you're not even expecting. That's the collaboration column, right?
What's up? Don't you have something going on at some point? Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, there was one other thing that I wanted to bring up. I am energized and excited about a marketing activity that I have planned.
Ooh, what is it?
So I did the YouTube video about the penny ads, and I thought, what are some other YouTube videos that I could plan where I can like test out a strategy and show behind the scenes of how it's done and look at the results. And so I have decided to do a 30-day TikTok challenge to get some data on how well the book talk contributes to, specifically to mostly Kindle Unlimited reads, because that seems to be what it's good for. So I have made a plan to run this experiment and to document it so that we can all look together and see, like, did it move the needle? Does it really do something? If I am, I looked up what are different styles of TikToks that are good for books, and I'm making 30 posts, and it's all around a new novella that is not out, like, it's not sold anywhere else at this point. It's going to be brand new for this challenge. The TikTok link will be only, the link in my bio will be the only place this link is available, so that we can really see what the impact is from 30 days of posting. So I'm jazzed for that, and I was hoping to start August 1st, and it's not ready, of course, but I'm really, really close. And I have 18 days worth of content ready. My book marketing bingo this week has been a lot of prepping to do this challenge and creating content for it. So I am looking forward to.
I like that. That will be energizing. All right. I have
Yeah,
to go to another
so, like,
meeting.
social media even drives me crazy. But we've been at
This
this
was
for
a
an
good
hour, so yes,
conversation.
you go to your other meeting, and we'll have more good conversations later.
Yeah, I'm going to see what you put on your card for the thing. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I want to see it. All right.
Okay, I will
Talk to
talk
you
to you
later.
soon.